All right, let's just jump right into this. You know, we all have these things we desperately want in life, right? Success, love, maybe some kind of spiritual breakthrough. But what if getting exactly what you want right now was actually the worst thing that could happen to you? It's a pretty wild idea, I know, but today we're going to explore why getting something before you're ready for it can feel way more like a curse than a blessing.
And this quote from Sadhguru, man, it is the absolute heart of what we're talking about. The idea is so simple, but it's incredibly deep. If you don't have the foundation, the structure, the capacity to handle something, even the most amazing blessing can turn into a huge problem. It's not about if you get what you want, it's about when, and whether you've actually grown enough to manage.
And to really get this, let's look at an ancient parable that just perfectly illustrates this whole idea. It's this great story about good intentions, power you didn't earn, and, well, a very surprising ending.
So picture this. You've got a yogi, deep in his practice in a mountain cave. And a little rat is also living there. The yogi, being a compassionate guy, starts feeding the rat. The rat gets fat, happy, totally safe. It's just a simple, kind act. But this right here, this is where our story really kicks off.
So, the yogi's compassion starts this chain reaction of what you could call upgrades. First, a cat shows up, wants to eat the rat. To protect his little buddy, the yogi, poof, turns the rat into a cat. Problem solved, right? Well, then a dog comes along and starts chasing the new cat, so the yogi makes him a big, powerful dog. And then a tiger wanders onto the scene. You can probably guess what happens next. The dog becomes this magnificent, powerful tiger. Now, at every single step, you gotta remember, the yogi's intentions are totally pure. He's just trying to give his friend the power it needs to feel safe.
So now we have this incredible tiger. It's roaming the forest, and with just one growl, every other animal runs for its life. It has everything it could possibly need to feel powerful and safe. But deep down, it held on to one single, gnawing secret, a fear that completely undermined all of its new strength. So what could it possibly be?
And here's the twist. The tiger started thinking, everyone fears me. They see me as a tiger. But that yogi, he knows my secret. He knows I started out as a tiny little rat. And that knowledge, just existing in the yogi's mind, became this unbearable threat. So to completely erase its past and make this new identity permanent, the tiger decided it had to kill the one person who gave it everything.
As the tiger crept closer, ready to strike, the yogi saw this betrayal and just had this moment of crystal clear realization. He understood it wasn't that the tiger was evil. It was his own mistake. He had given the tiger power without building the wisdom, the maturity, the stability to handle that power. And in that instant, he just said, Punarbhavamashika, be a rat again. And the mighty tiger was turned back into a small, scurrying rat.
Now, what's really fascinating is that this isn't just some dusty old parable. You can see this exact same principle playing out in the natural world. So let's shift from that ancient story to a very modern practice with a mango tree. It shows us that sometimes you actually have to be a little destructive to create real, lasting growth.
Okay, think about a young mango tree. In its second year, it tries its best to produce fruit. Now, our first instinct is to get excited and let it happen. But a smart farmer knows better. They do something that looks kind of cruel. They walk up and pluck off every single flower. And they do it again the next year. Why? It's because fruiting too early drains all the tree's energy. By preventing that premature success, the farmer forces the tree to put all its energy into its roots and its trunk. It ensures the tree grows strong enough to bear tons of fruit for decades to come. This whole idea of necessary short-term pain for long-term health, it becomes even clearer when we look at a really human story. Let's get into a story about a tough choice, one that shows the real danger of what Sadhguru calls misplaced compassion.
So Sadhguru tells this story about the bulls on his farm. They needed horseshoes, but it was a painful 30-minute ordeal, and he just couldn't stand to watch them suffer. So out of what he thought was compassion, he just stopped doing it. And the result? 8 months later, the bulls' feet were a wreck. They were in constant pain. His attempt to save them from 30 minutes of discomfort actually led to months and months of real suffering. That necessary pain of the shoeing process, it would have guaranteed them a lifetime of health and strength.
So when you put it all together, the rat, the mango tree, the bulls, what you start to see is this really fundamental split in how you can approach growth, especially when you're on a spiritual path. It's the difference between what feels good right now and what is actually good for you in the long run.
And this is where we see the classic difference between a saint and a guru. A saint, they're full of compassion. They might just bless you and say, let all the best things happen to you right now. But a guru
A guru is often described as brutal. They're not going to give you what you want. They will only allow what needs to happen for you to grow. They're going to prune your flowers, so to speak. It's a path that feels way harder, for sure, but ultimately, it's the one that builds something that lasts.
Okay, so if you're not supposed to be chasing after things, then what are you supposed to be doing? Well, the key takeaway here is one single word: receptivity. It's all about shifting your focus away from demanding specific things happen and instead just preparing the vessel, preparing yourself. Your job isn't to get the blessing. Your job is to become ready to receive it.
This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's the most practical advice there is. Stop comparing your journey to somebody else's. Stop asking why things haven't happened for you yet. Instead, just focus on your own growth, your own stability, your own readiness. You do what you have to do, and what has to happen, well, it'll happen, but only when the time is right.
And that really just leaves us with one final, crucial question to think about. We all ask for blessings, right? We ask for success, for breakthroughs, but are you actively working on yourself? Are you building the strength, the wisdom, the stability to actually handle those blessings when they show up? Because the greatest gift of all isn't getting what you want. It's becoming the person who is truly ready for it.